She doesn't love you, not really. Not the way you think she does, because the truth is, she may not even see you. Not the man in front of her, but a flicker, a shadow, a carefully sculpted image of who you might become. If only you played the part, and you did, didn't you? You smiled at the right moments. You gave, you performed, you tried to become the man you believed she saw in you. But Carl Jung warned us, when a woman hasn't faced her own unconscious, her inner masculine, her animus, she won't love you for who you are. She'll love you for the myth you represent, and when that myth starts to crack, when you stop fitting the part, she won't rewrite the story. She'll replace the actor. There's a haunting silence that creeps in right after you realize you were never truly known. Not by the woman who adored you, not by the one who claimed you were different, not even by yourself. Carl Jung didn't write fairy tales. He mapped the darkness, the unconscious forces that shape who we love and why. He showed us the terrifying pattern that most men are too ashamed to admit. You weren't loved. You were used as a symbol, as a projection, as a vessel to carry her unlived dream. And it's not always malicious, but it is unconscious. She doesn't know she's doing it, just like you didn't know you were abandoning yourself to be accepted by her. This isn't about blame. This is about awakening, because until you see what's really happening, you will keep losing yourself in the fantasy of being chosen. Pause for a moment. Can you relate to this? Have you ever felt like you were being loved for a role, not for your truth? Leave a comment below. Your story might help another man wake up. The illusion she loves. She says you're perfect, that she's never met anyone like you, that you make her feel things she's never felt before. But Carl Jung would whisper, be careful, because when her love feels too perfect, when her eyes are filled with too much hope, it might not be you she's seeing. It might be her own unconscious. You're not being known. You're being measured, assessed for the role she needs you to play in her personal mythology. And the scariest part? You play it so willingly, because being chosen feels intoxicating. It feeds the boy inside you who still believes that love equals validation. But Jung warned, this kind of love is not love at all. It is possession. It is projection. And when that fantasy begins to break, you won't understand why she grows distant, why her adoration turns into irritation, why the warmth in her voice slowly freezes over. You'll think you failed her, but in reality, you just failed to uphold the illusion you never knew you were cast to fulfill. Psychology of the animus. Every woman carries an inner masculine. Jung called it the animus. When unintegrated, it becomes a tyrant. It makes her believe she knows what's best even when she doesn't know herself. It moralizes without compassion. It argues without reason. It dominates without awareness. And you, the man trying so hard to love her, you end up confused, criticized, replaced, because you were never the man. You were the idea, the animated sketch in her unconscious fantasy. And the moment you show a flaw, a wound, a truth, she feels betrayed. Not by you, but by the part of her that needed you to be a god. You never signed up to be her savior. But she handed you the script anyway. What do you think? Have you ever felt like you were more of a symbol than a person in a relationship? Let us know in the comments. Your insight might help another man feel less alone when the fantasy collapses. And then one day, she walks away, or maybe she stays, but the warmth is gone, replaced by silent judgment, emotional distance, and cold disappointment you can't name. You wonder, what did I do wrong? You replay every moment in your mind, looking for the scene where you ruined the story. But the truth is, you didn't break her heart. You broke the illusion. You stopped being the character she imagined. You said something too honest, showed a flaw too real. And suddenly, you became the wrong actor for the part. Jung called this the collapse of the projection, a moment when the unconscious dream shatters and neither of you knows what's real anymore. But this is also the moment of truth, not for her, but for you. Because here is the choice every man must make. Will you try to win her back by playing a better version of the role? Or will you finally step off the stage and begin the terrifying, beautiful path of becoming yourself? The death of the mask. Jung said, "You must die before you die." He wasn't talking about your body. He meant the death of the persona, the mask you wear to be loved, accepted, chosen. Most men are terrified of that death. They would rather be adored for who they are not than rejected for who they truly are. But if you do not let the mask fall, you will never know if you were loved or simply used. The animus in her, and the animus you've neglected in yourself, will keep dancing this dark dance, pulling you toward fantasy, away from truth, away from your soul. Because you see, she cannot carry your soul for you. And if you keep asking her to, she will eventually drop it. Not out of cruelty, but because it was never hers to hold. Take a breath here. Have you ever felt this moment when someone you loved slowly stopped recognizing you? Share your story in the comments. You never know who it might help. The path of individuation. Carl Jung didn't hand out comfort. He handed you the mirror, and what you see in that mirror will either shatter you or save you. He called it individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole, not through performance but through integration. It means facing the shadow, the abandoned, wounded, silenced parts of you, the scared boy who thought love had to be earned by becoming who others wanted him to be. It means calling back the parts of your soul you handed away just to be accepted. It means choosing to see yourself fully, brutally, honestly, without asking anyone else to validate what you find. And it is lonely, frighteningly lonely, but it is also where your freedom begins. Because a man who has walked through his unconscious, a man who has stared into the abyss of his own need to be chosen, can never again be seduced by projection. He is no longer a puppet. He becomes the author of his own story. The inner fire. Women feel, ironically, this is when women start to notice you. Not because you need them, but because you no longer do. You're not performing. You're not asking for applause. You're simply standing there, rooted, present, fully alive in your own skin. And that presence is more powerful than charm, more magnetic than perfection. But be warned, many will not know what to do with a man like this. They'll call you distant, unreachable, cold. They'll try to pull you back into the script. They'll beg you to make yourself small again. Don't. You've come too far to wear the mask again. Have you ever felt that shift? The moment you stopped chasing and started standing still? If you've experienced this kind of transformation, tell us about it in the comments. Your growth might give someone else the courage to begin. The woman who won't need to fix you when you've done the work, when you've burned through. The illusions when you faced the silence of your own soul and didn't run. Something begins to shift. You stop attracting women who want to mold you. You stop inviting those who fall in love with potential. Instead, you draw in a rare kind of woman, one who doesn't need you to perform. She doesn't ask you to be her savior, or her therapist, or her missing piece, because she's done her work too. She's faced her shadow, integrated her animus, and released the fantasy of the perfect man. She stands beside you, not beneath you. And when she looks at you, it's not with hunger or hope or projection. It's with recognition, not for who she wants you to become, but for who you already are. That kind of love, it demands nothing, but it offers everything. Jung's final challenge. Carl Jung didn't just warn you, he challenged you. He asked, will you stop blaming the women who didn't love you right and start becoming the man who can love himself? Will you stop trying to be chosen and choose yourself instead? Because the man who chooses himself, completely, relentlessly, without apology, cannot be controlled by fantasy. He becomes untouchable, not cold, not cruel, but clear, whole, alive. And here's the twist. That's when you finally understand love, not as approval, not as performance, but as presence. You'll stop needing women to be your mirror and start seeing them as companions, not carriers of your worth, but witnesses to your truth. And when that day comes, you'll smile, not because you've won anything, but because you finally returned home to yourself. If this spoke to something deep in you, don't let it fade. Comment below. What part of this resonated with your journey the most? What illusions have you had to burn through to find yourself? And if you know another man still trapped in someone else's fantasy, share this with him. Not to wake him up, but to remind him that the door to freedom is always within reach. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to Self Decode. Because we don't just tell stories, we help you remember who you are.